G'day guys, thanks again for watching. Today I've built a little bit of a cold air intake system for the turbo ute. Now just bear in mind we're still in lockdown here, so I'm trying to build it with scraps out of a toolbox. So it might not be a permanent solution, but I'll run through my thoughts and how I went about doing it. Just with this style of motor, one of the killers to these things is air intake temperature. And as soon as they start getting hot and heat soaked there, either they're going to start detonating and hurting themselves, or depending on how the car's tuned, it might start pulling timing, and when they start pulling timing they just lose a lot of their aggression and performance. Even though the boost pressure might still be the same, you can tell they're not running how they should. So one of the first things I did when I picked up the car was put a turbo side intake on it, which was great and a great product, but it's quite a sealed unit. So just doing this little mod, hopefully we keep the air intake temperatures a little bit lower. So I'll run through what happened there. Alright, so when I first bought the car, it had a form of a cold air intake that went in the front there, which is perfect. It's getting cold air from outside the engine bay. And then went around the top of the motor, which isn't ideal. That does heat up the air intake temperature a little bit. Even though it's blowing air pretty quickly across there, it still is not the path of least resistance. So I put on the turbo side intake. There's still some piping off there because I'll be changing the turbo in the next couple of days. It's a great setup, but that box is pretty sealed. So I was trying to experiment with either putting an intake through this side and into the front, or using the original intake and then making some pipe work across the front there. But I'll show you the winner I decided to go with in the end was, I was nearly going to jack the front of the box up there and then have an intake at the top, but that bonnet does close pretty close over there. I wasn't real keen on cutting the bonnet up, but I did just remove one of the fog lights and then put a bit of 3.5 inch stainless pipe in there, and I'll just run around the back there. Hopefully you can see, so apologies for poor quality, no big production, I'm just a bloke in a shed with a phone. So I've had to move the horns a little bit. If you're ever mucking with horns, just remember to have them facing down, because horns have a tendency to hold water. I've put a little bit of mesh in there as well, just to keep the rocks out. That pipe going up to the bottom of the airbox now is, it's actually the factory pipe from the airbox. It was just sitting in a box doing nothing with all the intercooler piping. So that was the perfect length to just slot onto the back of that bit of 3.5 inch stainless. And I've had to cut a hole, obviously. Some people might not be too keen on cutting the hole, but to me, colder air intake temperature was more important than a little bit of tin work. And I'll just pop the top of the airbox off now and show you on the bottom there. That's the top of the box off there, obviously. Just get a light in there, you can see the pipe just goes straight in. Just beware with these pod filters, a lot of them don't come oiled, so you've got to spray a little bit of filter oil on those elements, because they do suck dust through there. So you can see it just goes straight in the front, and up. You can see that mesh in there as well I've put in it. So it's not rocket science, it's just putting cold air in a box. I might experiment with, I don't know, some sort of a cap on there for when I have to drive in monsoons and tidal waters, but for nice weather it should be fine. I mentioned before that next couple of days I've got a turbo to go on there. That's a GDX 3582R, the Gen 2, and some valve springs as well I've got to put in it, so there's plenty to do, but we'll get through it. And I know at this stage it looks a bit cockeyed just with the one fog light, but I'll pop the other one out, and I've got to make an intake for the other side for something else, so I'll show you what that's about soon. Thank you for watching.